Welcome Stacy Mapleton to the InoKinetic YouTube channel.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, our viewers don't know that much about you, even though many of them have interacted with you via email and on the phone. You've been a backbone of our business for over 20 years. So I thought we would take the opportunity to talk a bit more about your background, and in particular of a new venture that you started a few years ago, StacySorts, which is right up your alley, professional organizing. So having said that, let's jump straight into this interview. Tell us about your background, Stacy.
Well, we met at Kettering University, which
GMI.
was known as GMI back then.
That's right.
I got an industrial engineering degree and graduated in 91.
Yes, you did.
And I co-opted at General Motors.
In Pontiac.
In Pontiac, Michigan.
Yes.
And then moved to St. Paul, Minnesota, because you were there working at 3M.
Yep, in their automotive division.
And so I worked at Cardiac Pacemakers, a medical device company.
Yeah, so you switched from automotive to medical devices.
Right. I am actually not a car person.
Are you
might
serious?
Surprise many people.
You're not into cars?
Not at all.
Oh, no. Okay. Anyways.
But you have enough for both of us.
Yeah, that's true.
Love for cars.
That is true. All right.
So yeah, I worked in the medical device field at Cardiac Pacemakers and its corporate iterations for 19 years.
Yeah, and so you were working in like an IT capacity. Mm-hmm. Tell us a bit more about that work that you're doing there.
Yeah, I was what's called a business analyst. So I was sort of the liaison between the users of software and the programmers of the software.
I don't know how these IT people come up with these titles. Business analysts.
I didn't make that up.
Yeah,
that's what it's called.
Okay, all right.
So what I was involved in was mainly we were doing software development of software that the business needed.
Yeah.
And
SAP, right? Big databases.
Well, first, just software development in general. So what I was involved in was in doing software requirements gathering, documentation, testing, documentation of test results, and training.
Yes.
And then later on, I got into project management.
Sure.
So I was involved in several projects where we built software from scratch in-house, and then other purchase software, like you said, SAP, and laboratory information management systems that we purchased and implemented.
Right, because with medical devices, there's a fair amount of documentation that's required that you guys have to keep in place.
A very high level, because FDA regulations require it, that you can prove that the software does what you say it's going to do, especially if it touches a product that is implanted in somebody's body or used in someone's body.
Absolutely. Well, later on in your career, then you were able to apply some of those kind of procedures and best practices in the work that we're doing here at InoKinetic. Yeah. So keep going. Tell us more. We were in St. Paul, right? We got married in the early 90s. We had our first kid in 1997. Jaya was born in Minneapolis, right? Yeah. And then
we moved to North Carolina. And I left Cardiac Pacemakers, but I got hired back as a contractor, and I worked part-time from home. Yeah. Again, doing the same type of stuff, software testing and documentation.
So you're way ahead of this work from home scenario.
Yeah. In fact, I worked from home in Minnesota. After Jaya was born, I worked from home one day a week.
Yeah, that's true.
97, 98.
Yeah.
And then we decided to move to California.
We had our second kid, Sophia, in Charlotte.
Yes.
Right?
Then when we decided to move to California...
What prompted that move?
Family stuff, to be closer to my parents, your parents.
Yeah, my parents are in Vegas, yours were right here in Temecula. So a lot of people ask us, how did you end up in Temecula, right? So really it was because your parents, your dad in particular, right? Love that old geezer, Andy, so we moved out here to be closer to them.
Yes, so I got rehired by what was now called Guidant, and started working with them out here. Mm-hmm. They have a big facility in Temecula.
So that gave me the opportunity to scratch this entrepreneurial itch, right? Because you had a really solid, good job, and I could start my first company, which was Filter Market, right? And so that started to get off the ground fairly quickly. And you went from being full-time to going part-time roughly when?
Probably by 2002.
Yeah.
I was working part-time there.
Yeah, it was cool. Okay. And then when did you join us here in our illustrious entrepreneurial endeavors?
Yep. Joined Sector 111 in 2005.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we had Filter Market at the time, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and that was still the main business at that point, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so tell us about the stuff that you've been able to do for us, because it's been pivotal.
Well, it started out with doing kind of the financials, accounts payable, receivable, and then support for customer service and the warehouse for operations.
Yeah.
And then that kind of grew over the years. We implemented like an invoicing system here. So we kind of migrated from our old system to a new system, the one that we're still using today.
Sure.
So I helped with that. And then my role kind of grew in doing all of the operations.
Yeah.
By the time I think 2015 rolled around,
sure.
I was doing all the operations.
Sure. Yeah, and so you had really good feel for how our inventory is managed and ordered and things are shipped and all
purchasing, receiving, kitting, shipping, and customer support.
Yeah. So fortunately, you're one of these people that is very organized. Tell us when you started to realize that you had that as a natural, gift.
From the time I was a child.
Yeah. Tell us some of those fun stories.
Yeah. So when I was bored, I would organize all my pennies by year. I'd just dump them out on the floor and make a grid of all the pennies by year. So it's like very structured, organized. I've always been a list maker, so making lists is my specialty.
Yes, it is. In fact, when we moved into this location, this building that we bought last year, we shut down our operation on a Wednesday, and we were fully functional 4 days later on Monday, right? We were turning wrenches on cars. We were shipping products out the door, right? And how did we manage to do that?
Yeah, just a lot of planning and a lot of Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah, you plan the work and then we work the plan, right? Mm-hmm. I give full credit to you on that because there's no way I could have pulled any of this off, without your skills of being so organized and regimented. So thank you for that. It really limited our downtime. 4 days. I mean, that's just really unheard of. So, I'm really glad too, because I like things neat and organized, but I'm naturally not an organized person. It is hard work for me. So you've had to put up with me all these years, but that's where you've really been able to complement my creativity, right? And my technical interests by being able to bolster my lack of organization. So tell us then, at what point did you realize, hey, you really enjoy this? Tell us the origin story behind StacySorts, which is your professional organizing business.
Yeah, it really kind of happened by accident. I was looking to kind of do a career change. The kids are getting older, and I wanted to really do something different than keep doing the operations here. So in trying to look for a new career, I was researching different options, and one evening I was watching Netflix and came across one of these organizing reality shows, Get Organized with the Home Edit. And as I watched it, I realized that I was good at this and it looked like so much fun. And I thought, I didn't really know that this was something that was a whole industry, although not well known. So the more research I did on that industry, the more I got excited about possibly doing it.
Yeah,
trying it out.
you love reading, and I remember you just had stacks of books and things that you were just consuming about professional organizing.
Yeah, every book from the library, checked out, read it, took notes, kind of like my own study course, if you will.
Yeah.
On how to do it.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting, right? We live in a world now where there's so many resources where people can learn these skills, frankly, on their own. Now, it certainly helps that you have the natural tendencies towards this, and it's just an easy thing for you almost. But there are, tell us some things that you learned that didn't come necessarily as natural to you.
Well, one of the things when you're doing organizing for other people versus doing it for yourself is there is a big psychological and emotional component to it. And that was, I guess, a surprise to me, more than just the physical organizing of the stuff, is working with somebody else and trying to help them change their mindset around their stuff. And so that was one thing I was surprised to learn, but glad that I learned it, because that is a big part of it, working with other people.
Right, and what is the empathetic or the politically correct or sensitive way to describe people? Brain-based conditions?
Well, there are brain-based conditions
Okay.
that can affect how people can or cannot organize their things. So those are things such as ADHD, for example. That is a condition that kind of affects people's way that they can kind of move about life, and there's things that they just can't do or struggle to do. Mm-hmm. So having support of a professional organizer can really help them.
Yeah. Again, another one of your natural gifts of being very empathetic with people and being very managing people with kid gloves, if you will, right?
I'm very accepting, non-judgmental, and I'm very calm. I have a calming presence. So if people are anxious or agitated or feeling a little bit embarrassed about their space, they've said that when I come in there, they feel a little bit calmer, that they're okay.
So you've been doing this for how many years now?
4.5 years.
4.5 years. Yeah, you have been so energetic. I mean, you're still helping us here at InoKinetic. You're still taking care of some of the critical things that are like finance related, right? Mm-hmm. But the vast majority of your time now, almost every day, you've got one or two clients that you're running off to go and organize. So it's pretty exciting, and fun for me to see you going from being a person who really wasn't that interested in being an entrepreneur to truly thriving, in an activity in a company that you started and you are running and doing really, really well with. So yeah, I'm really proud of you, Stace, and so happy to see you thrive and the energy that's coming from that. It's just amazing. So, and you've tolerated me and my brain-based conditions of being unable to stay, keep things organized. But God knows I love when things are organized, and our shop is super organized, neat and tidy, and thanks to you, we've been able to keep it that way. So thank you for all of that, Stace. What else? I mean, is there anything else about professional organizing? I mean, where do you see yourself, in a few years? What's your thinking on this? Where you've got a gig back in Detroit, in our hometown, in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. I have a client I'll be helping there. So yeah, I've mostly work in the Valley, in Temecula and Marietta. That's where the majority of the clients are.
Yeah.
But I do have a few clients, San Diego, Orange County, LA.
Yeah, you're going up to LA this week, right? You got a client up in Cerritos that you're going to go, take care of for a couple of days.
Right.
Yeah, so you'll travel as required.
Needed.
Yeah.
So I can really go anywhere and do this.
Sure.
Can do it in Detroit, do it anywhere.
Yeah. Well, the two of us have some, love for Detroit, and so I go back there. In fact, I'll be going back for my high school reunion, but that'll be the third trip this year, and so I think it'll be exciting for you to go back there and help out there as well. Mm-hmm. So what else? Anything else you think that our viewers might be interested to learn about with StacySorts?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, and we're really excited to, kind of introduce what you've been transitioning, into now, because I know a lot of people, over the course of these last 20 years have interacted with you, and so I'm sure so many of them are excited to hear that you're flourishing in this new endeavor of professional organizing. All right, Stace, thanks.